Drink some water first. Hey everybody, Eric Watson here, freelance writer, player of games, runner for recorder videos, and tabletop role-playing aficionado. Welcome to Crafting Dragonlance, where I build, write, and prepare for our next session of Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen, which I'm currently running for platinum level patrons of patreon.com/roguewatson. This is the crafting episode for session number 11 of our campaign. If you are a platinum level patron playing in this campaign, then please do not look with your eyes or listen with your ears, for it's not meant for you. But the rest of you are okay. For our campaign, we use Roll20 for streaming. I use OBS Studio. We're in chapter 5, right? Yeah. And we actually covered the first two locations. I know, they're all players now. That is funny. This one's been really popular, and I love it. I love it. It was all the players are really excited about this campaign. I can feel their energy with it, and I am constantly reaffirmed that this was such a great choice. Not only was it, I maintained one of my favorite 5e campaigns ever since I reviewed it, but I think it was a great pick for the patrons in general for getting really just into the lore and into their characters and everything for a really strong narrative. So really, really enjoying this one for sure. And fun fact, I believe this will be the first time that we'll have done 3 patron games in a single month. I think. Somebody might need to fact check me on that, but I think that's the case. There's 5 Thursdays in this month, and I happen to be doing 3 this month. But as you know, we're approaching the holidays, and the schedule will get a little fucked up from that. But yeah, we actually did Wrecker's Edge, which is technically a whole location, which was the Dalamar on the ship thing with the air elementals. And then we did the Elven Encampment, which is technically a location, but not really an adventure location. They just kind of met with Dalamar, who is a very fun, famous NPC from the Dragonlance lore. Unlike Lord Soth, Dalamar is really more of a cameo. He does reappear again because he's, I guess he's a little bit more than a cameo. He is a quest-giving NPC, and he appears again when they're finishing up at the what's the location of E called? The Magic Tower. Wakenreth? I forgot the name of it. Yeah, Wakenreth. So slightly more, but Lord Soth is a bit more of a major villain in this campaign. So we know that they got the quests. Basically, everything happened like I kind of expected it to. A bit of a railroady adventure, I admit, but it also, it's kind of the argument to be made for a fairly strong narrative, I think, which this one has. This chapter is the least railroady in the campaign, which is why I love that it's here. And it gives the players a chance to explore a bit more, with the caveat that it doesn't necessarily give them a huge, like, just open-ended hex crawl area to explore. Because again, I think, especially in modern D&D, that's just a slog, and not really many people want to do that. And plus, we all know D&D, doesn't have the best like exploration mechanics or rules in there. The DM has to kind of make a lot of DM rules about that fiat, I guess. Thankfully, I'm using the Tessa's Maps thing, which comes with a ton of great random encounter maps, as you can see in this folder right here. Amazing. And this place does have a very unique kind of ecology or environmental hazard where the ocean periodically basically surges through all these canyons and valleys and badlands that this area is and floods the whole place. So literally the encounter table is like half terrestrial animals, mainly giant monster bugs, and then half just sea creatures, because you can literally just fight a bunch. In fact, the art is hilarious. Where's the art of this one? Northern Wastes, I think. Yeah. You can see here they're like like literally battling like giant octopus as the waters surge through in all these canyons and stuff. So fantastic, just great stuff. So I definitely want to try to use some of these random encounters without, bogging things down too much, because that's very much a careful a very careful balanced line to walk, is to reflect the fact that this is a dangerous hostile hex crawl area, but again, we don't want to just do nothing but random encounters. I'm thinking probably the best balance is going to be about 1 encounter between each location, at least at first. And I believe the adventure even says, I think the adventure says actually once per day there could be an encounter, but when you roll on the encounter table, I believe it's like a 50% chance of no encounters. Going back to this. Yeah, so it says whenever you want a random encounter to occur, usually once per day, roll on the encounters table. And then if you roll a 1 to 10, there's no encounter. 11 to 20, there is an encounter. So that tells me like on average, every 2 days, they should run into a encounter. And unfortunately, all the encounters are combat related. Because one thing I do appreciate is when they have these hex crawl adventures, like Tomb of Annihilation is still a great example, where an encounter just means an interesting thing happens that players can interact with, and that can be like an NPC they can just talk to, or a cache of loot they find, or a rare flower they can pick that can be used for something. Like, it doesn't have to be just monsters. Unfortunately, this table is basically all monsters. Even the one that just says malfunctioning gate is a monster fight, but at least that one can be interesting, because if they make the right skill check, or I think choose to use a spell slot, they can actually teleport to another location. So I haven't exactly thought at this point where I'm going to put that. I definitely want to use this encounter because it's very cool and has a cool map to go with it. But I got to be careful, because I don't think they even know where the other end is. It's kind of this mysterious, like, ooh, do we go through this teleport or not? And I can use that to bring them to another location and possibly create just an interesting fast travel thing between those two locations. So it could be used, to help skip, for example. Sorry, I'm still getting over this congestion stuff. It could be used to skip a lot of travel days. So I basically don't want to do it too early for that one. So I also don't want to use the Dragon Army patrols too early, because the Dragon Army is much deeper inside. They're basically based around location I, which is Camp Carrion. God, I always mess that one up. Camp Carrion Clay. And I figured they're in a radius around that, as well as I believe they're already at the City of Lost Names when the party arrives. I know they are. So basically, there's a big radius around I and a big radius around K, which is all kind of the second half into this adventure. So it doesn't make much sense that they would even really encounter the Dragon Army until basically they've already done Weckenreth and met with Dalamar again, and basically found the location and started moving northwest of there, which is probably also when I'm going to level them up to 7. So that means, unfortunately, I'm only left with this one as the encounter table from the book, which is Waste's Predators. Which is, thankfully, there are 2 different options you can use for that, and it depends if the tide is low or high. So I kind of have double the creatures. So that's what we're looking at for kind of doling out some random encounters to soften up the party. And also, I'm going to be employing my same Hexcrawl travel rules, or just travel rules in general, that I always do in my campaign since Tomb of Annihilation, which is you do not get to automatically long rest at the end of every day while traveling in a dangerous region. You have to you only basically get a long rest at certain locations, or if you can make specific, which I guess also certain locations, so specific campsites. Now, I did say that there's an army that is moving around. In fact, I think Demnix give me a I gotta look that up. Give me an item or a token. Yeah, there it is. Did I already put that in there? I don't think I did. Let me put that one in here. Demnix put an awesome token I can use for the army. There it is. Slap that on here. Slap it good. Did you purchase Dragonlance Encounters Under the Shadow of the Dragon Queen from the DM's Guild? Has encounters for all chapters, really nice maps. No, I haven't seen that one, actually. I'll look it up right now, though. Look at that army token, though. That's fantastic. That's actually taken from... that's multiple images from the adventure, basically. There's like a camp token. That's the art from one of the chapter covers, and then that's Darrett. And it fits the hex tile, which is amazing. What's it called? Encounters Under the Shadow of the Dragon Queen. That's too many... What are those, participles? Encounters Under the Shadow of the Dragon Queen. Alright. But I get it. That's specifically for that campaign book. 47-page PDF containing 24 one-page encounters. Nice. I'm gonna check this out. Okay, thank you for giving me the heads up. I'm glad you told me now, because I'm fixing to be beyond where I'll probably need it. Okay, well, what we're gonna do for now is we're gonna look at the thing that I know we need to plan, which is the Blue Phoenix Shrine. So I'll still leave the um, random encounter stuff kind of in the draft phase for now, uh, because I'll probably be working on that some more. So basically, I definitely want to run a random encounter with some kind of monster threat. The original one I was thinking of was going to be to combine, because I always like to combine them, which is one purple worm spotted a mile away, and then one of these terrestrial monsters, probably scorpions or spiders. The purple worm, instead of that being spotted, there's actually a cool map from Tessa's that's a bunch of like holes in the ground. This one. So that could be a cool, like, ooh, this is just like a sightseeing thing. It's a bunch of like circular holes that are gigantic. Be like, oh shit, what is this from? And then have like giant spiders come out of them to attack the party. Could be a little interesting on that one. Also, I think I'm going to keep the tide low the whole time they're traveling, even though you're supposed to roll and the tide can change with the days, which I also kind of tease the fact that that's happening. But specifically, the tide needs to be low when they arrive. And we know they're going to go to the Blue Phoenix Shrine next because that kind of it's the closest one, so thankfully we don't have to worry about that. But it specifically mentions the tide needs to be low for this one because I think during high tide it's like inaccessible. Yeah, the entrance to the shrine is completely engulfed by water when the wash is high, but is visible during low tides. It's kind of in this low valley region, which will be great timing when they're leaving the shrine. We can have the big high tide happen for the first time and really knock the players around pretty badly. And I would love to combine that with a couple. Like basically, this huge flash flood happens. They make skill checks. They have to avoid it coming in. Or I was even thinking you could have them in the middle of a fight and then have the flash flood happen, which also fucks up like the entire fight just gets interrupted. And then the flash flood happens and then that fucks everybody up. So kind of interrupting there. That could be a fun way of doing it too. But for now, we're going to check out the Blue Phoenix Shrine because I think that's going to take up probably most of the session. I think that plus one or two random encounters going to and from the Blue Phoenix Shrine will take up most of the session. It is a little confusing that the names here, which are very cool, Storm Step, Spires of Dawn, Deep Draught, are not the names of the locations though that are on the map. I think these are just kind of known locations of the areas, whereas these little markers are pointing to the actual things, which this one is a sea elf shrine to Habakkuk, the god of the sea, the Poseidon of Dragonlance. Every year, a group of Dimmernesty sea elves from the Thornton Bay travel to the Blue Phoenix Shrine to honor the Sea Lord for his bounty. Though the wash changes chaotically, the sea elves swim to the shrine, following reliable rivers that flow through ravines. The pilgrimage went awry when the sea elves crossed paths with the Red Dragon Army. So I guess the Dragon Army is actually a little bit this far south. It is kind of crazy, though, because... actually take us back to the region map. That they would actually take people from presumably somewhere around this location, where it says Deep Draught, and then bring them all the way up to Carrion... No, they bring them to Sunward Fortress, don't they? No, they bring them to both locations. Eric, maybe if you just keep reading. 4 sea elves were captured, including their leader, and many others perished in the confrontation. The characters can rescue 3 of the captured sea elves at Camp Carrion Clay, while the leader, Yerkel, was taken to the Sunward Fortress. Interesting. Which is supposed to help, which again, I like that this adventure chapter does a great job, by the way. Which should be an example of how to do... I should make a whole video about this. Like, a good way to do open world adventure design in D&D, or in video games too, which is that all the locations can point to other locations. So you gain more things on your map and more kind of quests. So like you'll get people that are like, oh, can you go rescue our person here? Or you'll go to a location and be like, oh, there's this person's in prison here, and they go to this town. And then you go to the town and you're like, hey, that town will give you 2 more locations. So it's a really fun organic way of just getting more locations and quest log stuff. And to me, and I imagine most players, we just like having all those like markers on the map. It's still, I mean, and I guess in a video game you can just see things and want to go explore it, but I think here that's, you know, it just really helps to point the players in those kind of directions without necessarily saying like, hey, you have to go here next. It gives the players the kind of, you know, just options, like, hey, where do you want to go next? But here are the places where there is adventure content that is prepared for you, right? That's the important thing, especially if we're playing on something like Roll20. I kind of agree, Pax. This northern chapter was what sold me on the adventure. Yeah, I think I don't know if it sold me by itself, but after I'd read everything I'd read, where it was like, okay, it's pretty linear, but I'm liking kind of the story stuff, and then it opened up into this chapter at like the perfect time, and then we go into the cool like finale Lost City stuff. I just thought it's a great balance between all the different like things I love about D&D, basically. 6 survivors reach the shrine, but they manage to hold on to only one offering, a pouch of blue deep sea pearls. So automatically they'll get that, which there is actually a separate map in here of just the Sea Elf camp, which I guess I could use. Do I have... I don't know if I have generic Sea Elves, though. I have the one token of Ishvern, who is the de facto leader now. I think he's the only Sea Elf token I have, though. Ishvern. Throw him on there. Let's see. After the recent ordeal, the Sea Elves are on alert for large groups of people. If the characters approach them with Calaman's troops in tow, the Sea Elves retreat. The current leader, Ishvern Stargazer, approaches only if it's clear no one's pursuing them with hostile intent. So we should definitely create some kind of tense social situation here, because these guys have already been attacked, and maybe they won't be able to tell. The adventurers don't necessarily look anything like Dragon Army soldiers, but they do. There are heavily armed badasses that should be feared. Facto leader of the group is the priest's absence, is pious, curious, and insightful. Having survived in the deadliest depths of the turbulent ocean for over a century, knows better than to venture into mysterious places unprepared. He isn't eager to risk his companions' lives without the priest Yurkel's guidance. However, Ishvern fears Yurkel might be lost forever. If others aid him in fulfilling a spiritual mission, he's eager to their help. Okay. So not necessarily somebody who would be afraid of the party, but like I said, he just went through this horrible event where he crossed paths with bad guys, so he would still be a little bit leery for that, I would assume. That's a different universe. Of course, Borges is a multiverse spanning. What do they call it in the MCU? You're like a anchor or something. Ishmael tries to get a sense of the character's motivations for traveling northern wastes. Explains the nearby shrine is a sacred place dedicated to an old deity the Sea Elves now remember only as the Sea Lord. Characters approach the camp respectfully. Also tells them how the Sea Elves were attacked by the dragon army. Even if he is suspicious of the characters, Ishvern sees value in their presence, especially if there's a cleric among them. We will have a cleric this session with Seer. He requests the characters help him make the group's offering in the name of their lost priest. The elves seek to make this offering in keeping with their people's century-old traditions. They know little of the deed's religious ties or the god Habakkuk. The characters agree. Ishvern leads them to the shrine's entrance. The characters know of Yurkel's fate or return her to the group. The elves encourage characters to come with them to the shrine. Okay, they're not going to have her, though. She knows all the threats and secret passages. Yeah, that would not be as fun. The wash is low, and the characters reach the shrine, but each room is filled with 2 feet of standing water, which does create difficult terrain. Okay. It doesn't even mention... Oh, they're the scout stat block. Okay. So it's him and a bunch of scouts, basically. They have advantage on... Or they have the elf thing, yeah. They have dark vision and swim speed. So would they... I'm trying to think what would be a good social... I mean, I don't want to create like a tense social scene for this. Maybe they see a camp up ahead, but like... I don't want to maybe... Yeah, I don't even want to try to do a combat scenario, but definitely like he'll call out... Be like, what is your intention here? Who are you? And all this stuff, as he's got like people with their bows, I guess. It does say they're the scout stat blocks. I guess they're armed with bows. So he Yeah, he just requests the characters help him make the group's offering. Okay. Which you'd think his first request would be like, go save our people. But I guess that they're here. Just go ahead and make the offering. That can be another quest, which I assume the players will want to do. Also, I wonder, it's interesting, um the book doesn't really mention the fact that if the party says like, hey, come with us and we'll go get your folks together. I'm gonna skip ahead to the bottom. Dalamar need only know that the Blue Phoenix Shrine is a holy place sacred to the god Habakkuk. Okay, so it's weird. The party's entire point here is just to confirm the place that it's a holy shrine dedicated to this particular god. Doing anything in the shrine is not actually necessary. I might change that. As the group leaves the shrine, if the characters haven't already rescued the sea elves at Camp Carrying Clay, a sea elf scout approaches Ishvern to tell them they've found where their captured companions were taken. Okay, there's the inciting moment. The sea elves have been imprisoned at a dragon army camp in the middle of a murky lake. That's so far, though. Sea elf scouts provide direction at Area I on the Kalaman region and Northern Waste map. But that is good that they get that location. He offers them what remaining treasure he has, a few blue pearls worth 750 gold. Wow. That's a huge payday for this party that seemed like no money. I thought those are the pearls being donated to the place, though. So literally, again, we're talking they come back to sea here, right? Camp Carrying Clay is way the fuck up here at I. That is 66 miles away. 11 hexes, and it takes about a day to travel 2 hexes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's at least 5-day travel. That's a long time for a scout to come back and be like, yeah, I found him. But that is important to get the information. That the dragon army's got a camp there. So I do like giving him that. All right, let's look at the shrine itself. The shrine. An actual little dungeon crawl thing. Ooh, I need to give it the updated doors, don't I? You deserve the big doors. Where my doors at? Yes, I always want to restrict movement. Why is that never on by default? The point of having walls is to stop people from moving through them. I don't know why no clip is the default setting. That one. This adventure's so old it doesn't even have the old style doors. It has no. It just has the dynamic lighting thing. Okay, so that one in place. Oops. There. I wonder if we can go with something like this place has been corrupted or just hasn't been, I mean, well taken care of. Plus, the god's been gone for hundreds of years, so like, not their fault. That's a secret door. All right, Blue Phoenix Shrine. I'm liking this water weird fight I'm seeing. Difficult terrain, they're in water. Ancient algae covered door. Fall of Habakkuk, character 6 on DC 12 intelligence check. Recognize the bird on the door as a blue phoenix, the symbol of the god Habakkuk. So already they see the symbol on the door, they make a skill check, and they already know the information. Now, they don't know that that's what they need to know to succeed with Dalamar. But, you know, you've seen Ancient Shrine. You want to explore it. It's D&D. Ishburn explains, Yurk will open the door by saying a specific prayer, but he doesn't know it. If the characters say the name Habakkuk within 10 feet of the door, it swings open magically. Casting the knock spell also opens the door. Okay, it's a little dangerous that they... Okay, I guess you can always break down the door. It does have 40 hit points. Good lord. That's a hell of a door. AC 17, 40 hit points. Because if they don't make the religion check, and they don't have a knock spell, it's a bit of a showstopper. C2. Long room stretches ahead. Walls carved with motifs of rolling waves. At the rear of the chamber stands an altar covered with coral-like designs. Behind it rises a sizable granite sculpture depicting the bird from the shrine's entrance. Archway opens to a chamber to the west, while a simple stone door stands in the wall to the east. Upon entering the chamber, Ishvern directs the characters. So they were going to have this NPC with him the whole time, with Ishvern. The west archway leading to area C3 encourages them to cleanse themselves with the water there before proceeding deeper into the shrine. The Guardian comes within 10 feet of the altar without having washed themselves in area C3 within the last 24 hours. 3 water weirds rise from the water between the pillars. They're hostile toward any humanoid who doesn't openly bear the symbol of Habakkuk. I almost wish Ishvern doesn't know that, so I could spring the water weird fight on them if they don't know. Because more than likely somebody's going to approach this altar within 10 feet before everybody bathes themselves in this water. Also, you're in 2 feet of water. You wouldn't think you'd have to also jump into a different body of water just to appease the god. Also, it's... Oh, wait, I guess I need to look at C3. Okay, it does give you something. Does it show up as magic, though? This reminds the characters cleanse himself. The pool's water first even in the holy place. He then spends a minute washing his own face and hands. Characters that follow suit feel refreshed. The first time a creature washes itself with water from the basin, it gains 5 temporary hit points. That's pretty good. So everybody's going to want to do that as the second somebody does do it. God, I really want to trigger this water weird fight, though. Did water weirds get an upgrade? Let's see. Water weird. AKA the don't ever trust a body of water monster in D&D. Really should trust nothing in D&D, but... Let us see. So they got more hit points in the new edition. They lost their resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing non-magical attacks. Still have fire resistance and poison immunity. Bunch of condition immunities. Blindsight still 30 feet. CR still 3. They're still invisible in water. And they still have their main constrict attack. Plus 5 to hit. The original is 3d6 plus 3 bludgeoning damage. The new one is 3d6 plus 3 cold damage. Barbarians hate this one trick. And then both editions, it looks like it's still the same, where you are grappled and restrained and pulled 5 feet toward the water weird. Oh, I guess it has a 10-foot range. Target's restrained and the water weird tries to drown it. Okay. Oh, because the water weird is always in water. Water weird can't constrict another target. This one doesn't have all that kind of drown stuff in it. This one just says, as a grappled condition and the restrained condition until the grapple ends. This one doesn't try to bake all the drowning thing into this one. Otherwise, pretty similar. But we will go ahead and use the new ones. I definitely want to do this fight, though. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Pax, I'm thinking that this guy does not know. I mean, maybe he's just a guy. He's just one of the... Maybe it's his first time. So he wouldn't necessarily know about the... Like, he hasn't seen it done before, maybe. Ooh, I do like the artwork, though. Fortunately, I discovered that my NPC hit point roller does not work with the new character sheets. It's a bummer. Also, 3 water weirds is no joke with the amount of hit points these guys have. Alright, so we can whisper and click this, and I believe it will roll their hit points 3 times. There we go. We will randomly roll. Mostly crap for hit point. 66, slightly above average. 51, really bad. And 55, also bad. Can't get over how hard 5e water weirds are nerfed from 2e and 3e. Ha! I never experienced water weirds in older editions, I don't think, because... I'm trying to think. My only experience with the older... Well, I did technically play a little bit of 2e back in the day, but it was mainly through, like, Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, Neverwinter Nights, and all those, and I don't think we ever fought water weirds that I can remember. But yeah, I like the idea that that maybe that's still true. Like you have to wash yourself in the basin before you approach here. Um, and he doesn't know that. But yeah, maybe the murals kind of show that on the wall about sea elves coming to like clean themselves. But I have to watch it because it's anybody within just 10 feet, I think. Yeah, 10 feet of the altar, which is literally basically if you get beyond the second pillar, um, then these things all spawn. Oh, it says the water weird cease attacking and vanish if a creature in the room uses an action to apologize to Habakkuk or speak a prayer to the god's name. I would probably have that be more of a like you take the influence action, actually have to roll a check. Um, but I would let people make a religion. It's like I guess you could use like a charisma religion check at that point. But I would make the person have to be like, have it be a skill check kind of a thing. All right, so we're gonna make that a little bit harder. I think you have to work for it. It doesn't sound like there's anything actually on the actual altar though. The altar is devoid of anything. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on the altar. All right, C4, a hallway. There's an inscription, Elvish. Honor those who came before and walk on. So where do they do that though? There's no like murals or anything. Oh, I guess it's in the next chamber. Okay. C5 is a crypt. Alcoves to the west and east of the chamber hold waist-high stone sarcophagi, sculpted with images of shells and graceful sea creatures. Resting place of followers of Habakkuk. Sarcophagus to the west bears an inscription Elvish. Herzon, who built this prayer in stone. Characters of perception score up 16 or higher, and as a design its lid resembling the layout of the shrine. Although the crypt has no visible exits, the room on the map corresponding to the crypt features a second passage leading to the southwest. Oh, that's interesting. The map is actually on the sarcophagus lid, and if you notice that, you'll notice the secret room. That's kind of cool. I like that idea. I would also allow if somebody investigated the shrine or the sarcophagus. Sarcophagus to the east bears a different inscription. Elvish, Awinthel are devoted first priests. Characters succeed on DC 17 strength check and open either sarcophagus, though Ishvern strongly objects. The corpse within each sarcophagus is immaculately preserved. The burial places contain nothing of value. I would highly doubt with this party they would jack with the, especially with an NPC right there and all these rules being told to like, hey, follow the stuff. Surprisingly, there's no ghosts or wraiths or anything. And there's nothing of value inside. Crypt is seemingly a dead end. A character who has a passive perception score of 20 or higher notices the secret door if they come within 5 feet of it. Detects magic. Also reveals the secret door. The secret door magically opens if a character obeys the inscription on the door in area C4 and prays or makes an offering at either sarcophagus. Okay. So that I would not require a skill check because otherwise it's a dead fucking end. But I like that there's two different ways of locate, or three really. So that makes me a little bit feel better about it. So one, you can notice one, you can just notice the secret door itself. If you have a really high perception, or you just think to search the wall or something. Two, you can see it via the map on the lid if you've got a perception score there or investigation. Or three, you were told in the hallway. What was it? Pray, honor those who came before and walk on. So just to pray at the sarcophagus. Do you have to do both of them or just either one? Either one. Prays or makes an offering at either sarcophagus. Okay. So I like that part too. The door opens. Yeah, I think we need to have Ishvern not having actually been here before. I think that's what's going to be the key. Like, he might be able to help a little bit, but otherwise he's like, Yurko was taking a bunch of us newbies. Even though it says he's like a century old and everything, I still think it might be just more entertaining if he was... And he could still be a century old and just have never made it out here too. It's a pretty pain in the ass place to get to. And the fact they just got captured by the dragon army, like, granted that doesn't happen every time. So I think having Ishvern not like be a friendly NPC to them in here, but not be super helpful about all this information will be key. All right, so that is C5. I should check what everybody's perception is in this party. Passive perception of 14. Passive perception of 13. Perception is 14. We do have one ranger here. That one might be the better. Man, James changed his sheet around. I can't ever find anything in here. Oh, man. Features and traits, notes, about. I got nothing. Yeah, I don't know where his stuff is located. Okay. Rowan has an 18, which again, Ranger plus 8 perception. So he won't quite see the secret door, but he will automatically notice if he thinks to check out the western sarcophagus. He'll notice that. Final room is the offering chamber. Steps ascend into a room covered in thick black algae. The center of the room stands a well from which emanates the sound of distant waves and the cries of seabirds. If characters who didn't wash in Area C3 or who opened a sarcophagus in Area C4 come within 10 feet of the wall, the algae on the walls... Oh, come on. I do not want the party to make it through here without fighting anything. It's going to be ridiculous. I'm going to force this black pudding fight, I think. I mean, it's possible the black pudding is just infested this place. Immediately attack the offending character as well as other creatures that attack the puddings. Boy, it's going to get physically hard to actually have this many creatures fighting in here, though. Also, surely I have better token art for the black pudding now. Also, I fucking hate the name Black Pudding. I assume that's a holdover from old editions. Would you name a deadly ooze monster Black Pudding? It's so fucking stupid. Gelatinous cube is funny. I'll allow that one. All the different slimes and oozes, perfectly fine. Black pudding, what? Trying to see if this one actually changed as well. And yes, I think the new token looks better. It's a dissolving pseudopod. Still has the split feature. Still has its corrosive form. Creature that hits the pudding takes 1d8 acid damage. Wow, they kept the whole -1 thing. Okay. Any non-magic weapon takes a cumulative -1 penalty to its attack rolls immediately after dealing damage to the pudding and coming into contact with it. The weapon is destroyed if it reaches -5. Penalty can be removed by casting the mending spell on the weapon. Oh, that's kind of nice. I don't know if it said that before. Because otherwise, that sucks in this adventure where there's not very many magic weapons. Dissolving pseudopod, +5 to hit. Reach of 10 feet. They did get a bigger reach. 4d6 +3 acid damage. Oh, fuck. Oh, I see. That's actually less. This is 1d6 +3 plus 4d8 acid damage. So that's just straight up plus damage. But they also kept the -1 penalty to AC. That's going to be really bad in this adventure, y'all. They don't have magic for shit. Does anybody have mending? Elias might have mending. Damn, that's rough. And they do still have... Let's see, the split trigger. When the pudding is large or medium and has 10 plus hit points, becomes bloodied or is subjected to lightning or slashing damage. Oh, interesting. Wait, it becomes blood. Well, the pudding is large or medium, has 10 plus hit points. It becomes bloodied. Or is... Okay, I think I see what it's saying here. So it actually triggers automatically, even if it never gets hit by lightning or slashing damage? it'll split when it becomes bloodied, right? Before that wasn't the case. It was only going to split if it hit lightning or slashing damage. So now it will automatically split at least once every combat when it becomes bloody, which is half hit points. The pudding splits into 2 new black puddings, which is worse, by the way, because they do the same fucking damage. So you've just literally doubled. I love that in an enemy. Just doubled their action economy. Each pudding is one size smaller than the original pudding and acts on its initiative. And because they start large, they can do it again. That's terrifying, too. All the -1s for their attacks. Oh, that is going to make Khazra's... Oh, she's not in this one, is she? No, she's not. That'd make her Berserker Axe much better. Dang. Unmatched ammunition is destroyed immediately after hitting the pudding and dealing any damage. Okay, so that's... You can use a bow and not really care, but it's just the poor melee attackers are going to hate this. Otherwise, same defenses. Oh no, they got a lot less hit points too. Dang. It went from 85 hit points to 68. So general nerf for the black pudding, interestingly enough. Still a CR4. Fewer hit points and less damage. Kept the -1s. Kept their corrosive form. The only thing that got a slight buff is the fact that it doesn't have to only rely on lightning or slashing damage coming in. It becomes automatically... It'll split when it becomes bloodied. Which, I guess that is a pretty big buff, though. It'd be interesting to see that in action. Because normally you could fight a whole black pudding, especially if you're metagaming it, not have it ever split. Whereas here, it's going to split all the fucking time. I think. The original pudding's hit points are divided evenly between the new puddings. I guess if the hit points are divided, then it technically is already bloodied, so it can't be bloodied again each half. So I guess it won't split again unless it takes lightning or slashing damage. But still, splitting once is pretty awesome. Says the DM gleefully. Well, I kind of want to force both these fights, honestly. The Water Weirds and the Black Puddings, because they're fun, unique monsters. We don't get a chance to fight very often. Certainly haven't fought a lot more. Yeah, the art's better. Although they still kept the dude being attacked in there. I wish there was just art of just the monster. Whatever. We know these things can squeeze anywhere, so they can squeeze down here if they need to. So as soon as they come within 10 feet of the well, a pudding will attack them, which, man, do we then have the puddings get like a whole ambush surprise thing off? That could be pretty nuts. They don't actually grapple people, which is weird. It's like the art makes it look like there's like enveloping people and all that. Instead, it's just constantly, they just deal acid damage left and right. God, that's still a scary amount of damage, though. Jeez. 4d6 plus 3 acid damage. Oh, the ball's not killing anybody, but 21. Oh, my goodness. Wow. That's a little above average, but that is crazy. But they only attack once. And if they miss, they don't do anything. Although, every time you attack... These guys are just so shitty against melee. The poor melee fighters. Which, actually, this is not a very melee team with the setup we've got here. Melee is going to hit Daryl and Coral. Although, if you're attacking with your fists, funny enough, it doesn't do anything to your fists. I mean, it's the same thing as the melee attack. You still take the 1d8 acid damage. It's not like your fists take a -1, though. How do I edit? Let's see. Go to edit. It's rolling and not just saying 4. There we go. So if I click on that. Oh, geez. It says the whole thing, though. One acid damage. It might be worth creating another one. Another entry that doesn't have all the information. I feel like that's all the players also kind of know the deal here, so I don't know how much I have to actually like hide that. Oh, I wonder if the immunities are the same. Acid, cold, lightning, and slashing. I deleted the other ones. Still have them in here? Yeah. Yeah, same. Yeah, they gained a new immunity with restrained. Why did they not have restrained immunity before? They're fucking oozes who can squeeze through 1-inch spaces. That's hilarious. They didn't have that before. I'm gonna grab the ooze. No, I can't get away. Intelligence 1. Charisma 1. Wisdom, surprisingly, 6. Roll for hit points. It's not a good night for rolling enemy hit points. I'm making things too challenging by forcing this fight. It's not a very big dungeon. And I'm technically not quite forcing the water weird fight, but I am making it a lot harder for them to figure out. Like, that water weird art is really good. Damn. It's like a, I don't know, it's like a Pokemon or something, but like a cool one. Like a dragony water creature. But the black footing fight, I think I'll just force. I think that'll be like the boss battle of this dungeon, basically. Then what? As long as there are no obvious threats in the room, Ishvar moves to the side of the well, softly speaks a brief prayer in Elvish, then empties several dozen blue pearls from a pouch in the well. Oh, it does say he retained 750 gold worth of pearls just in case. In case what? You need to have an emergency offering? After he does so, each creature in the room who washed themselves, who didn't disturb the sarcophagi, gains the charm Habakkuk's Blessing. Type of supernatural gift detailed in the Dungeon Master's Guide. See below. See, whereas there I could just give everybody because maybe they're cleansing the shrine. In fact, that could be part of it. Is if the party, gosh, yeah, what if the party thinks like, oh shit, this stuff gives 5 temporary hit points. We're gonna like start taking it, like filling all of our crap up with it. Although adventurers don't normally carry around, you know. Actually, they're not imbibing it though, are they? They're washing themselves, right? It specifically said they wash themselves. They don't drink from the water basin. Yeah, washes itself with water from the basin, gains 5 temporary hit points. Maybe if you drink it, something bad happens. That'd be a cool twist. But what I'm thinking is maybe you can use the water on this area to like cleanse it. And also, if they think about it, you could use the water to maybe even damage the black pudding. Like maybe it weirdly does like acid damage to the pudding, even though the pudding is obviously immune to acid, but it's like a special, I don't know, it just does damage to them. Burns them. Yeah, also you don't want to drink seawater. That's a very good point. Smells like seawater. Don't drink that. Exhaustion. I don't know. That seems pretty nasty. It might just be like you try to drink it and you immediately spit it out because it tastes like seawater. Maybe I won't do anything like real bad. But I kind of like the idea that if they think to take some and they use it in this room, maybe that can like deal damage. What's a good like example thing I'm trying to think of? I guess like not alchemist fire. Shit. What's a some kind of like vial liquid thing that you can throw like a grenade? What am I thinking of? Okay, there's just is it just acid? Is that what I'm thinking of? Yeah, there we go. It's just called acid. Let's take some acid. You take the attack action. You can place one of your attacks with throwing a vial of acid. Target one creature object you see within 20 feet of yourself. The target must succeed on a dex save, which the black puddings are terrible at. DC 8 plus your dex modifier and efficiency bonus. The throwing person's dex modifier and efficiency bonus? That's interesting. But yeah, I think I would do that, and they would take 2d6 acid damage, but it would do damage to the puddings. I don't know if that's good enough versus one of their basic attacks, but I like that as just a special idea, I guess. So, what do we call this? Magic basin water. Deal 2d6 acid damage to puddings. Negates their immunity. Or we'll say it does cold damage or something. I guess it doesn't matter. Were they immune to cold also? I forget what the fuck they're immune to. No, they're immune to cold. They're immune to acid, cold, lightning, and slashing. Okay. Maybe it does like poison damage then. What the fuck? Doesn't matter. All right, so I'll put that as a note. But that could be a hell of a fight. Basically, it's really bad for the poor marshals who are mixing up in there. Everybody else can just stand back and fling spells at them. So these are on the GM layer. But I don't think anything happens if they take up other spaces or anything. Even though they can surround people, it's not like a gelatinous cube where they can shove people inside and do the acid damage and stuff. So once it's cleansed, Ishfern drops the blue pearls as a prayer. And then I would probably give all the players the Habakkuk's blessing. Habakkuk blesses your travels through the northern waste. The charm grants you advantage on survival checks made to notice the wash's waters filling chasms. Oh, interesting. These are both travel related. I don't know if I like that. Additionally, while traveling, you and up to 5 creatures with you ignore difficult terrain outdoors in the northern wastes, allowing you to move at double the pace listed on the northern wasteland travel, but that only lasts for 24. Oh, after you leave the northern waste. Jeez. Hmm. I don't know if I like that. I guess it does. It just feels so early to get this buff. Double the pace. I'll have to think about it. I mean, it probably doesn't break any. It's just not that exciting for the party. It's a little concerning for the DM that you suddenly. So instead of moving 2 hexes per day, you move 4 hexes per day. I guess that does help speed things up. That's funny. You get like the. It's just funny that like they barely make it a couple days to the first location. Automatically, that first location then negates like the big travel, like pain in the ass, which is moving slowly, and hex crawling is like, oh, you get to like just move super fast and also get to tell where the wash basins are. It's like I'd be okay with this if this was like halfway, through this area, and then you get this buff. But it's real early to get this buff. Surely there are other interesting things we can do. Maybe you can even give each person a different ability that has something to do with like ocean powers or something. Yeah, I'll have to think about that. So that's the Blue Phoenix Shrine. I like it. It's a little mini, very mini dungeon crawl. I think I'm gonna lean. The main changes we're gonna make Ishvar not really know anything about how to do things in here. Still be a friendly NPC that can help them. Certainly help them in battle and whatnot. But I wish they kind of had like the acolyte stat block versus all having the scout stat. Maybe it was literally just the leader that it was the priest. I guess it makes sense because if he doesn't know anything, then he's not a priest. He's just one of the scouts. And yeah, they'll make it. Everything's kind of business as usual until they make it to this last room, and then they'll realize like, oh shit, this place has been like corrupted or something. This black ooze isn't supposed to be everywhere. And that's when they approach, and then the creatures will attack, and then they can cleanse the place either by defeating the black. Well, I think they'll defeat the black puddings either way. If they don't think about it, Ishvern can go grab the water from here and like wash it on the walls, and that will really take it all out. And it'll cleanse it, and then they'll have completed the site. And there's basically nothing for them to. I wish we could give them like a magic item. God, this place is so low on magic items. I guess they got a bunch at the last location though. They did, or the last big dungeon crawl and raided catacombs. They did get the berserker axe, the broken lance. They got some magic armor and the necklace. So I should stop worrying. They got a bunch just recently. It's just been real low for them. Yeah, something like that. Water walk, like some kind of spell thing. I think would be more interesting for the players. Or even give them a selection of spells to use that have like water related stuff. Maybe they could even summon a water weird. You know, that kind of a thing. You know what might be really fun too is literally turn it into a video game where it's like these different objects shimmer above the shrine, and each player can take one, and each of it offers a different like temporary magic item thing. Nothing probably permanent. And some of them might just even be the effects of like a potion or something. But yeah, one of them can be like Wall of Water or summoning a water weird briefly, or doing water weird would be kind of tricky though because they have to be bound in water technically. But yeah, I think I like that idea more than just like a generic like you're better at traveling now. I mean, the party's barely like experienced the hardship of traveling anyway. Yeah, I think that could be fun. I think that's probably what we'll lean towards. So yeah, I do think this will actually take up whatever encounter. Which again, feel free to leave comments and stuff about what kind of encounters to employ. But we'll have one for sure on the way here, and then we'll do this area, and then we'll have another one planned leaving this area. Although I assume we probably won't make it quite that far. I think the shrine and the chat with Ishvar and everything will take up the majority of the time. And then when they're leaving, they'll get the quest that's like, oh hey, we found this other location we're gonna put on your map that our people got attacked from, and I believe I know where the Dragon Army camp is. Or we don't have to give them that location yet because maybe they'll have other chances. You know, like if I put a dragon patrol at them, for example, then they can always find a note or interrogate somebody or something. So maybe it's a little too early. I do like giving the location of Camp Carrying Clay, but again, that might feel a little too early to give it to him now, and it just feels really far for like one scout to fucking travel like what did I say 5 days to report on that. So I'm a little torn on that one. I don't know if water breathing is going to actually be very useful here. Control water might be useful during battles where the giant wash comes in at him. But yeah, there's a lot of cool water related stuff we could go with. All right, but I think that is going to do it for this crafting session. Thank you to everyone for joining me, and thank you to all the patrons for helping make these sessions happen. Shout out to Platinum patrons Joe, Will, Thomas, Brandon, Genocide, Roleplayer, Roll, Christopher, Big Nut, John, Nathan, Andrew, Stephanie, Jason, Lippy Spuds, Ward, Emo, LC, Tom, the Eating Dogs, Marcus, Snuggy, Hugo, Sasha, John, Morbid Reaver, Jealous Guy, Zim, Jesse, Dante, Sarah, about Demnix, Sean, and Sharny, and gold patrons RPG, Papercraft, Pretty Boy, and Yuma, Diddles Lounge, Jerome, Nathan, Scott, Rufus, Jerry, Glenn, and Mark. Thank you all very much for your support, and I will see you all on Thursday for another crafting.